Yeah.
And we are live on Unfiltered. The entire universe is talking about State of Origin. And to celebrate, I've surrounded myself with Willies. We have our stock standard New South Wales Willie, William.
What's up? What's going on?
And our special guest tonight is Queensland Origin legend, 8 Origins, 12 tests for Australia, research. Willie Tonga, welcome, Will.
Thanks, brother. Thanks for having me.
Good to see you. We'll get a different perspective from a different Willie. Now, the Origin is all, as I said, anyone's talking about. We are 1 week now from the decider. New South Wales are heavy favourites, but there's been a lot of player movement in the last 24 hours. Will, Nathan Cleary out, Tarek Sims out.
I think
Good or bad?
Yeah, I think Freddie he might have played this out in his head. I'm not sure what games he was playing, but I'm pretty sure Cleary wasn't right to go. You know, he got diagnosed 4 to 6 weeks. This was 2 weeks ago. I'm pretty sure they knew that, Tarek didn't really have much of a chance. And it sort of worked out for him because he didn't have to drop anyone. Clemmer comes straight in and Pearce comes straight in. So no dramas to the whole camp. But, it's obviously worked in his favour and everybody's talking about not really much of a change. But, yeah, I think Pearce deserves it. And I think Clemmer should never really been left out of the side. It sort of still baffles me. I don't really want to go back into it because Tarek deserves his spot. And Clemmer's been such a big part of the last 4 or 5 years building this team. So, yeah, it sucked a little bit, but they both got back in the team.
Clemmer's not the sort of bloke you want to make that phone call to either, would you? Like, oh, by the way, you played unreal in the first game, and now you've played with a broken wrist, and we're not picking you, but good on you.
Yeah, when you
he'd be pretty pissed off. Maybe that was a plan. Maybe that was a conspiracy theory.
Yeah,
just piss him off more.
I'm not sure. I wouldn't do that to Clem. Like, I wouldn't do it to a bloke who's played 13 Origins straight, and he just was pretty much arguably our best player in the last game. And we were trying to build this loyalty and pick and stick and stuff, which you'd obviously know about, Tong, where, would Queensland do that to one of their players, one of their own, one of their mainstays, like a Petro Civoniceva in his time? Because arguably, Clemmer's arguably the best prop in the game, which Petro was. He held that he maintained that excellence for 10 years. Would Queensland ever do that to one of their props?
No, never. And even if he had a bad game, even if he was off, Mal, he was so loyal. There was games where I felt that I shouldn't have been picked for the next game, but he knows that if you've done the job in the past,
they still go by that 100% still, don't they?
Yeah, 100%.
But I guess the difference is they pick and stick from the second game. So Clemmer technically wasn't in the second game. You can't really say that he didn't pick and stick because he pick and stuck with the side that won. So I get that Clemmer was there, but Clemmer played in the game they lost. So I can sort of understand.
On a technicality, he's got us. Freddie's got us on a technicality with the pick and stick, but it's just you just don't do that to a bloke like Clemmer.
No.
Maybe, like Saifidi, he did exactly what everybody thought he was going to do. Just get us off to a good start. He's a good young kid. He's got a massive future of New South Wales, but pay homage to the kid that's been doing it for 5 years or 4 or 5 years, give him that respect that he deserves and he's built. And I think, Clem, his heart would have been broken. If that was in that position, I got that phone call, his gut would have sunk. He just would have been so pissed off. And
he'd have been punching holes.
Oh, man, you can't. I mean, it's all great optics now for the, look at the camera. Yeah, Freddie, it's good work, good luck, Tarek and all this shit. You hang the phone, fuck this.
Yeah,
you'd be, you know exactly how you'd act as an ex-player. I've never been in that position, but I just don't think he never should have been in the position, which frustrates the hell out of me, with this whole pick and stick. But he's in the side now. I feel sorry for Tarek. That's another whole discussion. But
so Tong, tell me, they're 3 days into the camp now. We've heard little bits before from Will about what Origin camps were like. Willie actually famously ruined Origin camps for New South Wales. But tell me about the Queensland Origin camps. What are they doing at the moment? The first 3 days, is it team bonding, or are they doing some ball work, or what's going on at this stage?
I want to know this. I hear whispers all the time how we ruined Origin, but they've won 12 out of the last 14 and they still have a good time. So
since you ruined it.
What's your whispers?
That you still have a good time, but it's all you just do it the right way.
When I was playing, the first couple of days you're on the piss.
Yeah.
And we'd get called in on a Tuesday. On the Wednesday would go settle in to wherever, if the game was up in Queensland, would go to a resort on the Sunshine Coast or on the Gold Coast and settle in and just get on the piss.
Yeah.
The next day was just recovery, didn't do anything, and then start from there.
Yeah.
What is the mindset of Queensland? Like, just say you've played from 04 to 2011. The mindset of Queensland now going in, knowing that they just got thumped in game 2 and they go into game 3. Now, they've already won one game. Just, by 4 points, they got their asses handed to in game 2. What's the mentality coming into game 3, knowing that New South Wales are red-hot favourites? She's coming down here. And, like, what is the mentality? What was the message? What would be the message that Kevin Walters is sending to everyone?
I'm not sure about Kevy, but with Mal, there's no discussion about, okay, it's 1-1, we're coming down to a decider. There's none of that talk. You're in camp and you just think you're going into another
And you expect
origin.
to win, don't you?
Yeah, 100%.
And that's the culture you built. Like just say from 04, you come in 04 when New South Wales is pretty dominant, and then by the time you finish,
When
Queensland
you were
was
playing, is that what you were saying?
Well, we won. Like at least we won
Okay.
3, but then like he went through that where he lost a couple, but then went through 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, where you were probably pretty much at your peak. So.
What do you reckon? I mean, you look at these blokes now, and they're athletes at the top of their game. And so, other than setting a game plan, really, I mean, especially when you're in that Queensland side that was just so dominant and had so many brilliant players, was there much discussion about game plans, or was it just more like, all right, let's just go out and do what we know we can do and just win? I mean, was it very specific?
It wasn't specific. Maybe there'd be talk about the game in the last couple of days, like leading up to the game. But before that, everything was just chill, crispy ball work. You got future immortals there.
Yeah.
But there was no talk about the game. No one read the papers. No one watched the news. So
Is that because
that's all forgotten
Queenslanders
about.
can't read, or?
No, it's all
the way
forgotten
it
about.
is?
That's just the way it is.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
tell me, just
Like-
say, when you played for Queensland, you had arguably like 5 or 6 future immortals. Now, I don't look at Cameron Smith's not there, Cooper Cronk's not there, Darren Lockyer's not there, Greg Inglis isn't there, Billy Slater's not there. They're the guys that you played with. I don't look at Queensland now. I don't think New South Wales looks at Queensland and fears them. Do you reckon they have a point there and just go, well, you should actually fear us a little bit now? Because I think Queensland's had that fear factor where guys like Pearcey are traumatised for years because they got their asses kicked.
Yeah.
I don't think he would look across this week, next Wednesday, and go, you know what? Damn, Cooper Cronk's going to get me at the end. Greg Inglis is going to do something unbelievable. So I think the psyche of Queensland might have changed and ours might just start twisting a little bit.
Well, let's talk about Mitchell Pearce. I mean, Mitchell Pearce he's either going to be the hero or,
the
as I
biggest
said
villain in the
before, he's
world.
going to have to literally leave the country. Or we'll go back to Newcastle, which is sort of like leaving the country. But two things happen. They win the game and people say they won despite Mitchell Pearce because they were a better side, or they lose the game and it all falls on Mitchell Pearce's shoulders. So from my perspective, Mitchell Pearce he's playing this game. If they win, he's doing it for himself, because I don't think he'll get the recognition he deserves, because people are looking for a scapegoat, and for whatever reason, Pearce is it.
Yeah, I mean, he's been our scapegoat for since 2008.
Yeah.
He's
just a
the
kid
first
then.
one. He's the first one to say that he wasn't mature enough and he hasn't stood up in those big games as I said, back to that question, he had to face these ridiculous players, these future immortals. Now, you don't see them, Tom. How do you reckon Queensland's mentality is when they look at us? Do you reckon it's changed a little bit?
I don't think so. No.
They still got that cockiness swag about them? Come on, man.
It was never cockiness, and you're gonna sit there and argue.
No,
with me.
it's the success breeds. I was just jealous. I was like, I wanted to win. I'm just like, God damn it.
Because you know what the boys are like.
Yeah, I know. I can't get angry.
Cam's not cocky. Lockie's not cocky.
No, I
Everyone's
know.
so humble, and
It's just that,
JT. But
when you win, it just comes across like that.
it's confident.
It is confidence, bro. It's confidence, man.
it's
That's what I'm saying.
confident.
Is there still confidence in that maroon jersey?
Absolutely, because
Damn.
they bring these.
They won the first game.
I know.
They bring these, boys that have just recently retired. Jono, Hodjo's in camp. Bill's in camp, and that lifts the boys.
Yeah.
That sort of brings the boys' confidence levels up for
Yeah.
sure. And
You played with Cherry Evans. and played against him. Like, he's the captain of that side. So who do you reckon? Like, who do you reckon they're leaning towards to get him over? Because I reckon for about 10 years, you always had a Lockie, a Cronk, Cam, a GI, Israel Folau, all these guys doing these ridiculous things that always would break New South Wales' heart. Who are they looking to now?
When I was playing, we didn't look to anybody. Everybody just knew their role. Everybody just knew, you just do your role.
And
don't worry about
everything else will
anybody
look
else.
after it,
And, you know, hopefully we'll get over the line. And
It worked.
And it did work.
Yeah.
The biggest thing for me, sorry to cut you off, but the biggest thing for me going into that game was I didn't want to mess up.
Yeah.
You know, because if I did mess up, then
You're letting
it
down.
could cost the team.
Yeah.
And I think everybody's thinking the same.
Because I remember I used to watch those games, obviously, and more so after, like, obviously Will and I are mates, and when he was playing, but I knew probably more of the blokes in the Queensland side, and the way that they handled themselves and the humility that they had, they were just a very, very good football side, and they were hard to hate. Like, you look at that Queensland side of that era, you know, they went about their business, they did it,
yeah.
they weren't cocky as you were saying before. They knew they were good.
Yeah.
I think the current day team, you've got blokes like Munster, who potentially could be something very, very special.
Yeah.
There are players coming through, but I look at that New South Wales side, and I probably see more firepower on that. Your Tedesco's and your Trebojeviches. And
So, diplomatically speaking, if you look at the 17 players from Queensland, 17 players from New South Wales, if everybody plays a 10 out of 10 game, who wins? That's what I always used to look at it. Just say, 10 years ago, if we play our best and Queensland play their best, Queensland's going to win.
Yeah.
At the moment now, I think New South Wales just tips them a little bit, and I just think if they can bring their 10 out of 10 game each, they just get Queensland.
Yeah.
What do you reckon, Tom?
If you're going off that logic,
If you're just going off that simple logic,
yeah.
just simple, and
Yeah,
regardless of the Queensland jersey and what that
probably,
brings to you,
yeah.
I'm just thinking that's why I look at it.
You're
I
probably
think,
right, yeah.
all right, Queensland should beat us because they do have Greg Inglis, and they do
Yeah.
have Billy Slater, and they do have Cooper Cronk and Cameron Smith, and they just have a bunch of playmakers around them. You know, just do your job, like Nate Miles and Sam Thaiday and Petro Sivanasiva, and everyone. I don't know. They just had the best machine like running. It's just like I just think now it might be switching a little bit. I'm not getting too cocky. I'm not going to say New South Wales is going to towel them up like in game 2. I think that's just totally throw away that game. But it's just sort of, you know, it's probably a good thing to say. It's evening out. That's it. That's all I can say.
Tell me about Corey Norman as a selection. I mean, it's hard to know what they could have done. Will, I mean, had a different side that he would have picked, but how do you feel about Corey Norman at 6?
I think being in camp and seeing how it's run and having JT involved in the camp, you know, seeing the likes of Billy, it's just, you put that maroon jersey on, you rise to 10 feet.
Yeah.
And you never know. There were players that I questioned that we spoke about earlier that I wasn't sure how they'd fit in when they played Origin, but
They do.
they proved me wrong.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say anybody's name, but I don't know. It's a different game, and you never know until they're out
Tell
there.
me the difference when you first got in there in 04. You were in there famously when Billy Slater scored that unbelievable try, which was he was offside. No, it was a great try, Bill. And then, you were on the back of a couple of defeats in Origin, and then you were part of the greatness that was like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. What was the mindset in 2004 compared to when you were right in the middle of it when you blokes were just fucking killing them? What's the difference?
When I debuted, Michael Hagan was the coach, so
Different.
totally different, and had a lot of the old boys. You know, Shane Webke was still playing. Had players
Pricey,
like
Petro, Steve Bell.
For me, the camp wasn't enjoyable. I'm 20 years old though, but I'm probably sort of still looking at it. I'm still in awe that I'm playing alongside these boys. But Mal changed the whole culture. He brought in these old boys, you know, Gillespie, No, Gilmeister, sorry. All these old boys to sort of, Alfie, to make it fun again and to really push what it means to be a Queenslander. And,
So he's a big part of that?
boys embrace
big
that.
part of that,
Mal?
big part of the success, coincides with, the GIs and all these sort of guys coming up, wasn't it? Mal, because you went from there, like the 04, 05, and then 6, 7, 8, like it just went from here, and then he's just only won 2 in the last 12 or 13 years. So
100%, yeah. Mal, he and no disrespect to him, but he wasn't the best coach.
No.
But he was able to bring the boys together and make it a brotherhood that you didn't want to let whoever you were next to, you didn't want to let the person down.
All right, Tom. Well, you're our Queensland Willie. Why will Queensland win? I'm assuming you're thinking Queensland will win, otherwise I'll throw you out of the fogs. But why will they win?
Our forward's going to have to muscle up, with what New South Wales have got. And I think for us to win, a lot of it probably lies on Cameron Munster.
Yeah.
He's such a dangerous player. I'm glad to see that he is at fullback. It's I don't like to see that Ponga's out, but I'd rather see him at fullback than 5'8", because he can just pop up and then both sides of the ruck and just create something out of nothing.
Yeah.
Which he did in game 1. And it's scary. He's very deceptive.
strong,
he's
man.
strong.
What the hell are they on down in Melbourne?
Strong, and he's quick, got good footwork, but just for him to be able to pop up, both sides of the ruck, and hopefully he can bring something to the team.
Queensland by how many?
Thoughts on Moses Mumbai. Pretty much in 2 games, probably played 25 minutes. First game, 5 minutes at the end. Second game, probably 10 or 15 minutes, 20 minutes at the end. Like, he has really no impact. Do you use and bring another sort of player who can play forwards and / into the backs, or do you obviously they're sticking with him, but they need to utilise him a little bit more? Like that spot on the bench is very important.
It is really important.
Yeah.
I don't understand, what Kevy's thoughts are on.
Just give Ben Hunt a rest, I suppose, at the 60-minute mark. That's his,
Really,
that's his thing. That's it.
It wasn't 60 minutes though.
Wasn't even 60 minutes. I mean, like that first game was, it was 5 minutes at the end. It was just like a waste of time. He brought some energy. He brought whatever he can get. I'm not faulting him as a player, but I'm like, that one bench spot, man, that could be used by another big boy. Got David Fifita on there. He can cover a lot of positions in the centres and stuff like that. They can switch around that middle of the ruck. And I just think there's room for another big body, so they can just keep rotating. They got the momentum in that first game.
You just picked
with
17 forwards, wouldn't you?
No, with 16 players. 16 players, because Joe only played half a game, and they still look like they finished on top of us. So, just put another big body on that bench. I just think you can just. I don't really give a shit what they do, but I just think Moses is a bit of a.
Did you ask him a question?
Well, what do you
No,
thoughts
I
on
mean,
Moses?
There you go.
Yeah,
I was not looking at you.
What was
Ask
my
a
fault?
question.
You didn't ask me a question. Ask him. Took it him.
Yeah, if you're going to put someone on that bench spot, they've got to come on, make an impact, and be as good as the person they're bringing off.
Yeah.
Is Moses doing that? I'm not in a position to be able to answer that, but
He hasn't done anything wrong to get dropped, because they're obviously looking, because something could go down.
You can't drop a bloke who almost dies and plays.
Yeah, you can.
Do you know what I mean? He's almost died, William. You can't just drop him. Came out.
I just want him to actually put his foot, just stamp down like he's an Origin player.
He's just got to get on the field. Put him on the field. Kevy, listen to the coach whisperer.
Yeah,
Queensland by how much?
Coach Whisperer isn't whispering Moses into his name, is it?
Moses. Queensland by how many? Tom?
Come on, man, be real.
We're live here, Tom.
yeah, I know. 4 points.
4 points.
Yeah.
William, why will New South Wales win and by how much?
Oh, I think Clemmer coming into the side will make him go a little bit more direct.
And
I think
Clemmer.
he's going to be pissed off, hopefully. I think we just go through the middle again and just rely on our backs. And rely on Tedesco, who's been outstanding. Addo Carr, the Fox, has been like one of the best players in this whole series. I just think we might outplay him. I think if we can just Jake Chaboyevich was unbelievable, both brothers. I just think we have a better team. If we don't win this series, the heads are going to roll. I just think we'll get them by probably,
coach?
I think 14. Everybody.
Coach's head rolls?
Everyone in New South Wales goes.
You coach
No,
down at 18.
I think we win by 14.
14?
Yeah.
Goodness, mate.
We haven't won and decided down here since 2004.
Who played in that game?
Me.
Oh.
And Tom played as well. But that's a
All right.
scary thought. I mean, it's not, we haven't been that successful down here.
Well,
to
for
put it
me,
that
I
way.
think
Who do you think?
I
Honestly.
think New South Wales win and they win quite well. I think they'll win by about, I would say, 10
Do you
points.
think Queensland played just ridiculously shit and we
Yeah.
played unbelievable?
I think they
And
played
now it
badly.
evens up.
Yeah, it evens up, but I
So
think
when it
New
evens
South
up,
Wales,
I think we still get them.
Do you know what I reckon's the difference? Is Cook at 9.
What about Pearce?
Oh, he'll do his job.
I think he gets
100%
man.
do
I
his
think he
job.
gets man of the match, and it's a big thing, redemption.
Yeah.
And then he just drops the mic and says, "Fuck you, I done my job."
You hope, or you think?
I
he's
just
gonna-
think that's going to happen for him. I think he
Mitchell
deserves.
Pearce,
He's
man of
been
the match.
absolutely hammered in the media for the last 10 years. It's been his fault pretty much, and now he gets his time. You know, as I said, those faces aren't there anymore.
Yeah.
There's no English. There's no more nightmares for Piercy. He just sees some normal people out there that are on his level, and he goes to that next level because he's 30 years old. He's got his shit together, off the field and on the field. So I reckon man of the match for Piercy, and probably be his last Origin. Just drop the mic and walk away into the sunset
Yeah.
and make a movie about you, Piercy.
Will they? Speaking of getting hammered, there has been a lot of talk in the last little while about brain trauma and ex-players who have donated their brains to science. James Graham has come out and said that he's prepared to put his brain up for science. I mean, obviously it's a long way down the track, but it's becoming a real issue now in terms of how the game is going to cope with the potential for not only people having long-term effects, but also the potential for class actions if the game is found to have not protected players. Now, Will, you've both played, you've both had some pretty nasty head injuries over the years. Talk me through let's look at the HIA to start with. How do they assess it, and do you think it's enough?
Well, I was watching a good thing on Fox Sports today, and it had like all this stuff. I got like photos of it. What they do when you're on the field is like, what venue are we at? Which half is it? Who scored last? Which team did you play last week? Did your team win last week? So if you pass those questions in the first bit, I'm pretty much thinking you're right to play. But then the next step is like they'll look at it and it says loss of consciousness, no protective action in falling to the ground, confusion or disorientated motor incoordination. Like, and this is the category 2. Loss of responsiveness, slow to stand, suspected facial fracture. So pretty much you're fucked there. So
what do they mean by category 2?
Well,
so that means you can't go back on the field.
yeah, I don't think you can go on. And in this time, when you're in there, they ask you what month is it, what date is it, what day is it, what year is it, and what time is it. And in between those things, I know, because I've been through it before, they'll give you 10 random things, 10 random words that you have to remember at the start and then at the end. And then all you have to do is say the months of the year and then say them backwards. Not that hard. It's not that crazy.
And
of a
this
test.
is when
This
you're
is
in the
now.
sheds. So this is when you're in the sheds. So you get knocked out on the field, you come off into the sheds, you've got 2 or 3, 4 minutes to, I guess, control your thoughts, and then they throw these questions at
It's
you.
not the hardest thing in the world. Like
No.
I remember 10 or 12 years ago, after Kidwell hit me, I was done for like 40 minutes. So the only thing is the time span. It's gone from as long as you want to 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Which is it's still a fair while. But I just think they just need to be it needs to be a lot harder. I remember Hugh Hazard, he was the doctor, and he said you got to say the ABCs and say it backwards. There was a lot more. It was a lot harder to get back on the field, but you had a shitload longer. But I just think hopefully something like this. You got Ray Price coming out getting his brain tested. You got the players donating their brains. I just hope the NRL is a lot more proactive than reactive, and someone in the next 10 years we don't have a massive big case against them. I just
Well,
think
Tom, you've been out of the game now for a couple of years. I guess blokes around your era and blokes that have been out of the game for a couple of years, have you noticed any sort of memory issues or anything that's sort of popped up? I mean, it's probably not going to affect your era for another couple of years at least.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, that's the scary part when you say it like that.
Well,
You know,
it
we're going to be
isn't. I mean,
50. We're going to be
that's
50, and then
yeah.
like you just start losing your shit. That's what I'm scared of.
Yeah, you've lost.
Yeah,
your
lost
shit a
it.
while ago. You're fine.
It I'm not going to lie. It keeps me up at night. You know, now I've been knocked out.
Worrying
you know,
about it?
Yeah, stretched it off. There's things, and you and I have spoken about it. You know,
Just the littlest
the
things.
things
like
that we
you forget.
should remember, we're starting to forget. And they weren't just like little concussions. Or like I got stretched it off.
Yeah.
My last game, eyes were rolling back, but I was able to pass those questions.
Yeah, the questions
And
aren't
so
hard, man. You don't have to
I
be
was
a
able-
fucking
Really?
brain.
Yeah, I was able to pass those
went back on.
questions, but they were telling me that my eyes were rolling. So,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I don't know
In-
what the answer is for that, but
Do you think the NRL should do more in just say with players like from our era and Ray Price and players that played in the 80s, 90s, and the 2000s? Like, do they have a moral responsibility to
Well, that's
to
I
come
guess
to
that's
us
the
and pay?
duty
Just
of
say
care.
the duty of care. Like, do they pay for all these brain scans because they're not cheap? Do they take care? They don't take care of the players. They don't do anything. There's nothing. It's sort of just like hushed about until the last sort of couple of weeks where everybody's at right at the forefront, which I think it should be because this shit's happening. Like we've been through it. Like we're a product of that era where they didn't give a fuck about the HIA. They didn't care. It was like a badge of honour. You've seen Spud Carroll, you've seen Martin Lang get on TV this week and talk about, you know what? You know, they used to look up to guys like Ray Price and all this sort of stuff, and it was getting up and being tough and everything like that because the game wasn't. They didn't really care.
Yeah.
It was all about big hits. They used to, like this is how they used to advertise it all over the world. Massive hits, fights, all this sort of shit. Now it's all come into this PC world where everybody's scared to say anything. And everybody's sort of shitting themselves now. I just hope to God the NRL just takes it now and just sort of says it to everybody who's played NRL has any head problems, we'll take care of it financially and we'll look after everything.
The interesting thing, though, technically, when you blokes were playing, your employer was the club you played for. So, you know, for you, Tong, it was, you know, the Bulldogs and the Cowboys and then Parramatta. They were your employer. For Will, it was every single club in the NRL, most of Super League and some rugby union clubs as well. So you look at your employer was technically the club. Now, the NRL can come in over the top and they've got independent doctors now, I believe, on the sideline because at the end of the day, any given Sunday style, you could have a club doctor who's being pressured by the club to get you back on the field.
you
know?
can't say that doesn't happen.
But with these independent doctors, I mean, who employs them? Are they employed by the NRL? That'd be interesting
Well,
to
I just
find
think
out.
I think it's gotten a lot stricter in the last 5 years. Because I even remember like in 2015, it's not that long ago,
No.
when I was playing for Manly and even Newcastle in my last year, like you're in there and if you're all good with it, if you're a senior player and you're all good with a doc and that, you know, their care of duty sort of slips a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, no, I'm all right, yeah. And they go, oh, yeah, well, he's an old wily vet or whatever. He's been around the block a couple of times. Let's just let it slide. No, he's sweet. I said, fuck, you know, you try and bully your way out of there and use your sort of, your own person to get out of there. Like, oh, fuck, I'm sweet. And then they go, oh, if you get a young doc or anything like that, you need some people that actually genuinely care about you, man. Like
When you were coming through, Tom, you would have fought anything to get back on the field, because you're trying to prove yourself. As you get older, as you say in the back end of your career, you do start to worry about these things. And so I think it's probably more the younger kids and that coming through trying to prove themselves that are, like I think players like James Graham, he'd fight tooth and nail to get back on the field even if he's knocked out. You know,
is it a product of us old school players still in the game now?
Yeah.
And do we have to wait, you know, for the Andrew Fafitas, David Fafita, who's a 19-year-old, you know, he doesn't know anything about this old school sort of mentality. Do you know what I mean? So we just have to wait another 10 years for us to all disappear. And I just think it's such a hard thing to put your fucking finger on because it's going to happen to us. I know it is. Our memory slowly sort of slipping. Not as crazy as some of the guys that we can't even mention. When you go to these New South Wales things or go to club, you know, all this bullshit that's happening now in our lives, retirement parties and all that kind of stuff. So
would you put your brain up?
I'll be thinking about it. Like I wouldn't say no, put it that way.
Yeah.
You know, like at the end of the day, in like 10 or 15 years, and I know, you know, this shit's like prevalent in our brains, I'll be like, yeah, I'd do it probably.
Yeah,
but I wouldn't say, I'm not going to say it now, so yeah, take my brain. But like, yeah, probably
I don't think they take live brains, William. I think they wait till...
I know that
don't-
idiot. I just don't want to come out there and be like, oh, Willie says take his fucking brain. Like,
No, but I'm just saying, like, it'd be interesting.
To see what's in here.
We're talking about 60 years down the track, 50 years down the track before these results. Anyway, it is what it is. Now, speaking of no-brain games, this weekend's round of NRL is its usual Origin stinkfest. We are playing St George versus the Storm. Remember this game last year? Everyone forgot how to tackle.
44-56.
It's about 5 million to 6 million. St George have probably got less players out, although they've still got a few out. I think there's something like $8.5 million worth of talent playing in Origin out of these games. So you've taken virtually half the salary cap out of these two sides, and now they're playing and everyone's supposed to get excited about it. I don't know.
Isn't it? It's a waste of time, but it's all TV rights and all that sort of shit. You have to play 26 games. So Tarek Sims is what, he's out for 3 weeks now? Or
Yep,
4?
3 weeks.
What are your thoughts on the Tarek Sims whole debacle? That tackle? Suspension or no suspension? You just look at it now, all the shit that's going on this year.
I didn't see the tackle live. I saw it today,
Yeah.
and that's
didn't
clean
miss.
to me.
Yeah, it's fine.
There was no
Just need to
malice
be
in it.
consistent, man.
He's-
I mean,
yeah.
like, you sat in the judiciary. Like, you got 2 players that have played Origin in that judiciary. They fucking know how important this game is. It's a different game. And the tackle wasn't, he didn't spear tackle him and put him in any danger. Morgan gets up and plays a fucking ball. No one cares. You know, like, you've got to put that into account. Fuck.
Paul
It's just
Green
shit.
cared.
You know, like,
Paul Green had a sook.
I just think, yeah, I mean, it was just, I don't know, they just need to be more consistent, even with, like, you know, George Burgess
Well, let's
getting
talk
9
about
weeks.
the George Burgess thing.
Fuck,
Like, I don't
Josh
have a problem.
Maguire, like,
Yeah.
Josh Maguire has eye gouged twice this year. Be consistent. Don't just come out and give him the rest of this year, like just wipe him out. I just think it's just, I can understand if this is the first ruling and Josh Maguire got 10 weeks and everyone's like, oh, fuck, I better not touch anyone's eyes. Like, it's the lowest thing in the world anyway, but in the climate right now, when someone's done it twice in the last 6 weeks, he's been getting fines, you get 9 weeks. Why be so reactive now to all the bullshit
If
press?
I was the NRL, to be honest, I would say from now on, anyone who sticks a finger in an eye,
Just start it next year.
you're gone for 25 weeks. You know, because it's the worst
But do it
thing in
next
the
year.
world.
It is the lowest thing in the world. But
Yeah.
I mean, like, when you just look at what's happened this year, a bloke who's done it twice, he gets nothing but a fucking slap on the wrist and a fine. And then he does the exact same thing, but he gets 9 weeks. It's
Yeah.
like they've just reacted again. Because
They
of
are
the, because of the press and because of everyone saying he should get 12, he should get 12. Oh, the judiciary's sitting there twiddling their thumb. Oh, we'll just give him 9.
Yeah.
Have a fucking think about it.
There's probably other parts of George Burgess you'd prefer.
But like,
to
he
keep
doesn't
away from
deserve.
your
I mean,
eyes,
like,
Rob.
it is a low act. But if you were consistent and you gave Josh Maguire 10 weeks or 9 weeks for his first one, fine, I can live by that. But don't give someone else, you know, like nothing and a fine, then you give me 9 weeks. You'd be fucking filthy.
As a general rule, keep your finger out of Blake's eyes.
Yeah, don't do it. I mean, it's a low act. But
St
like,
George versus Storm. who
I don't
wins
even
that?
care.
You
I'm
got to
not
care
even going to
because
watch
we're
it.
doing it. No, we're
I mean, I
caring,
will. I
but-
love the NRL.
Yeah. So who's going to win?
Melbourne, because their system is just too good. You know, Corey Norman, Tarek's out. James Graham's still out. I think, Melbourne's depth. They always get tested every year, and they seem to put that Melbourne Storm jersey and play like fucking Cameron Smith. And Cameron Smith's still there.
Tom,
There you go.
you don't care. Melbourne.
I don't care. I don't watch it.
Yeah.
I won't watch it. But
What
well,
day is
Melbourne.
it on?
That's the Friday game, I think. Now, the West Tigers are playing against the Roosters.
Roosters are depleted, but, you know, the Tigers have still got a fair side.
Roosters
again,
can't afford to keep losing games, so I think they win.
Nah,
that.
yeah,
They've
I
got
think
Highgraves back, Keary
No,
back.
I'm going to go the Tigers.
You know,
They lose no one but Moses. That's not that big a loss.
Robbie Farrell lost an eye. You can only go left side now. Tong, Roosters.
Roosters, yeah.
Roosters. Newcastle versus New Zealand. Joel Southgate. Joel, we really do appreciate your support, mate. You've got a question for us. With Pierce, Glasby, DSAF and Clemmer playing for the Knights this week again without them, I think he means. Do you see the Knights winning this weekend, William?
No, not against the Warriors. Warriors are losing nothing. They travelled not too bad this year. You know, they're still not a bad side, but Newcastle's losing. They've lost too many players. Like Ponga's out as well. You got, you know, Clem. Pretty much their whole side's out. They don't have the depth up there.
All 17 of them.
Yeah, they don't have the depth. They need at least a Ponga or a Pierce back there.
Heard it here first, Joel. Newcastle cannot win that. New Zealand will win. Tong agreed?
Yep.
Agreed.
Enthusiasm, Tom. These
Shut
games,
up.
these
No,
games
I-
mean a
I-
lot. Oh, don't worry about it. This is the
yeah,
whole
I
round
know,
should
but
be-
I'm just
this
saying,
whole
I
round
don't-
should be fucking rubbished.
What would
I'm
you
done
do?
with
Would
it.
you, how would you? I mean, when you played Origin, you obviously came back and played the game after, but you'd missed that game. When you missed that game, so for example, the blokes that are playing in Origin,
Yeah.
would they be watching these games?
Yeah, they watch
100%.
it. Yeah.
They watch the games. Yeah.
They'll be
Everyone
up there.
watches,
They'll be
yeah.
up there watching the game.
They'll be where?
They'll be
up
at the game
in
Newcastle. Yeah.
earthing,
Yeah,
Walking around with
because you
bare
got the
feet.
weekend off.
and then you got the coach
fool.
whisperer on the other
They
one.
still do that.
Yeah, you get the weekends off.
Well, they got the weekend off. They got a decider. It's weak. No
Mate,
wonder Queensland win.
Does Queensland
Shame.
get the weekend off?
No.
No. There we go. We just worked out why Queensland won 50 Origins in a row. The
I might be wrong with
Shucks.
the train on
You
the
just-
week.
you
I
took the
swear, when
weekend
do you
off.
think the players go out and camp and go out of camp? You always see them on the sidelines, especially in the Sydney teams.
only if they're in the same area. I think they wouldn't fly to New Zealand.
Oh, it's 2 hour drive.
Sharks
That's
versus the
3.
Broncos. How much do the Broncos stink?
Yeah, they
Seabold,
suck.
he's killing it up there.
Oh, you're a Queenslander. There's 3 teams coming. What? 13, 14, 15. That
Yeah,
sucks.
what
Is
is
that
the
good for
problem?
Queensland?
What-
I don't know.
what- Yeah.
You're our Queensland
You're the
spy.
delegate.
What's going on?
You're the delegate.
Spy.
They suck, man. They
Yeah,
probably suck proper.
I've only watched a couple of games, and that was probably
Even last
with
week,
you.
man. Like,
Like,
Payne Haas defeated Junior. Like
Payne Haas is
Lodge,
playing.
Lodge.
And
But I mean,
Lodge.
I'm just talking about what they had last week against Newcastle, and they still.
But they've got a gun team.
They've got a good side, man.
They got a good side on paper. Obviously, Seabold, no good. You said that at the start. No Wayne Bennett.
Yep, 100%.
That concludes this week's Unfiltered. We would like to thank very much Willie Tonga for coming on. Will, it has been a pleasure.
Thanks,
Thank
bro.
you for sharing your insights. We will see you, actually, next week will be probably a different night, probably Tuesday, because Origin is on, or maybe Thursday. We will get back to you on that one. That is what live television is all about. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for your support. We'll see you next week.
Done. Nice.
anyone.